Get started. There's probably some more who will pop in here in a moment, but we're recording as well. So glad to be able to have this informational meeting. We sent out a survey, Andrew, I think I told you a while back, just kind of gauging interest, but thought that this demo and Q&A would be a good opportunity too. So I know some people are probably already using Syllabird and might just be interested in how it'll integrate with Living Heritage, and others are unfamiliar with Syllabird. So um, I guess we'll turn it over to you. And I think the plan is Andrew will give a little bit of a demo, and then we'll just kind of open it up for anybody who has any questions. And we'll just see if we can get everybody on board with how Syllabird could help with daily homeschooling. So, Andrew, thanks so much for being willing to do this, and we'll just turn it over to you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. So I do have a demo. I'll kind of walk through, Syllabird. The main problem is trying to solve why we built certain things a certain way, as well as talking about what it would look like to use it directly with Living Heritage. I'll leave time for questions at the end, but please feel free to ask them as we go. I have the Zoom chat open here, so I can see questions if you want to post them in there. Um, or interrupt me. I don't mind. Either way works. But this is really meant to give you all an overview and answer any questions you have about what is Syllabird, why is it useful, and how would it work with Living Heritage. So let me share my screen. Okay. And then everybody should be able to see that. All right, perfect. Okay, so the broad overview of Syllabird is that it is a digital homeschool planner. It's a homeschool planner that we built with the sole intention of serving homeschoolers in a way that is different from normal educational tools. So there are a lot of other products out there on the market. Um, but we wanted to build one that was very specifically designed around the benefits of homeschooling, especially flexibility. We wanted to make it easy to make changes to your plans, to adjust them, to reschedule things and features like that. We wanted to make sure that it was very easy to keep track of what needs to be done, to keep track of the work that has been done. Lots of states require different types of reporting, so we want to make it really easy to keep all of your information together. So if you need to provide it in a certain way, you can. And we want to make sure that we try to give a good experience while you do that. A planning tool is still a planning tool, but we want to make sure that you're happy when you use it. So this is the homepage that you're greeted when you come in to start. This is one of two pages that people usually use for their overview of the week and what they're doing. Um, for this page, students really love this because what it is it's a self-building to-do list. So your students can have accounts if they're older and you'd like to give them an account, and when they log in, they'll see their work here. And the work that is on this page is work that they should be doing right now. And what that means is it can be assignments that they've missed. So assignments like this one here, this is an overdue assignment. It was due yesterday and it didn't get done. Assignments that they need to do today. And then for parents, there's assignments that you need to go in and put grades and go and double check that work was done. But for the student, they'll also be given assignments that are due over a period of time. So I was homeschooled. One big challenge with something like a paper planner, especially for me as the student, is you maybe give them a paper on one week and it says, start working on your paper, and then on the next week it says your paper is due, and I forget about the paper every other day in between there until it is due. So those types of assignments show up on this homepage as well to remind the student, hey, you need to make sure you keep working on this long running project or paper or something like that. If we click on an assignment, you'll see that it's comprised of a few different pieces. So we have the assignment title and description. These things would be pre-filled with Living Heritage, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But you will also be free to make your own courses and assignments if you are using different curriculums together, or you have some external courses that you want to include. So this will all be relevant for that piece. Um, In addition to the title and description, you'll have the ability to have graded assignments. Comments are very helpful for parents to go back and forth. A couple ways we see these used is that um, the description may be the ideal version of the assignment, but maybe you switch something up, or you only do part of it, or maybe it's a science assignment and you went for a walk to bird watch instead of just reading about the birds. So they'll include this information here. Comments, all the content that you attach to an assignment, like I said, is kept and organized together so that if you ever need access to a full description of what was done, you can get that later. This includes submissions. You can upload submissions here, or the student, if they have an account, they can attach their documents, their papers. One thing that I like to point out here is that um, Syllabird works really well on the phone. And if you come to an assignment and you tap this box on your phone, it'll say take a picture. So it's really, really easy to just go through and quickly take pictures of documents, just so you know you may not need that paper most likely, but you do have like that written copy of it, but you also have the digital copy attached to the assignment to come and look at it later. There are some other bits of information that we'll look at. They only show up if you have them, but you can do attachments if the student needs a PDF to do their work. You can ask some teacher's notes here that only you see, so you could have quiz questions in the description and your answers to the teacher's notes. So it's fairly flexible, but the main idea is that it's one small assignment attached to a course that's due for a student. On the calendar page, this is a view that you're probably more familiar with from your usual calendar or like homeschooling planners. It's a column-based weekly view of the work that needs to be done. So here we have a course. A course can have more than one assignment per day. So this is a course collection and a couple of assignments that need to be done. You can see all of these assignments have already been marked as complete. And then we have one overdue assignment, the needs grading assignment that we saw on the homepage, and then work that is due today. You can get the same view as you got on the homepage by clicking on these assignments. So a lot of uh, parents will probably use this page more, and then the student would use the home page more. But they both provide the same kind of overview of the work that needs to be done. Um, from this view, you'll also use a lot more of the rescheduling attributes. So a few different ways that we can do rescheduling. The first one is a vacation. So a vacation is basically, I want to move everything off of this day. We're gonna, it's Christmas or something like that. We're going to take a vacation. So you can come in here and you can put in a vacation. And what this will do is it'll make it so that no course content is scheduled on that day. It'll automatically move stuff off of the vacation. So when you're doing your planning for the year, you don't have to plan the course around the vacation. You can add or remove vacations as you go, and the plan will automatically change. So if I add a vacation to, let's put it on Wednesday, it's going to move the assignments off of Wednesday to their next course day. So if we go back to the calendar, it didn't move these because they were completed. So that's an important thing to keep in mind. Once you complete an assignment, it'll stay on that day so that nothing kind of moves it off and changes your record keeping. But other assignments were moved down. So the overdue assignment is no longer overdue. It's now due today. And the next assignment in that course was moved to the next day. So this will automatically shift and move your assignments back and forth. If we go in here and delete it, it'll unshift and move that assignment back. So all these reschedulings go backwards and forwards. If you do choose to play around with it, I suggest you go in here and play with rescheduling these demo courses because it'll give you a much better feel for it. But the idea here is that when you plan a course, you're not planning it necessarily that add a student picture needs to happen on June 4th. It's just that add a student picture needs to happen before upload an attachment, or lesson one needs to happen before lesson two. That's what's the most important attribute when you're planning out your year. um, when those specifically happen isn't as important as it is in a school setting. You just want to make sure that you're consistently making progress, it needs to be done next, and that the things are happening in order. So that's the idea behind this shifting back and forth with vacations. The other thing to keep in mind, oh, question. It does change the finish date of the entire course. I can show you, you can overlap. So if you need to move things back and double up on the end, you can. But by default, it just shifts things down and keeps pushing things out. And you'll have to choose if you want to double up or shift out. Um, so one other thing to keep in mind is that the course is given on a specific set of days. So I'm going to go to next week because these ones aren't completed. So Advanced Syllabird is a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday course. If I do a reschedule here that shifts it, it's not going to move Advanced Syllabird to Thursday. It'll move it to next Monday because that's the next course day. That's the default behavior. The reason for this is if you choose to do Monday, Wednesday, Friday, maybe it's a co-op. Maybe they have swimming on Tuesdays, Thursdays, so they don't have as much time for that. So it's going to move it to the next course day. It also won't move it to Saturday or Sunday unless those are days that are part of the course. It's going to move it to the next weekday. So if I come in here and I put a vacation on June 11th on Wednesday, what's going to happen is that pink assignment, the advanced syllabus, will move to Monday, and then the blue assignments will just shift over to their next day because they're 5 days a week. So you can see this one, it didn't move to Thursday, it moved to the next week. Again, this is the default behavior. So if we delete this vacation again, everything will go back and we can look a little bit about individual course. So maybe you don't want to shift the whole thing. This may be because the student got ahead in the course, maybe the student fell behind in the course, or you just didn't get to that course for today. So to do that, you can click on an assignment. You can also do this from the home page, and you can go to the reschedule button here and you can move the assignment. So you have a couple options here. If you want to double up, you just move it and you don't say shift. So it's just gonna be like they need to catch up on it tomorrow. They're gonna do two assignments. So if you do this, it'll just reschedule the individual assignment. As you can see, it's now over here. We can move it back. Again, everything can be undone. If we want to shift just like the vacation, all we have to do is click this box. And now what this is going to do is the same behavior where it pushes the rest of the course down. So we just want to move it down. We want to keep doing one assignment a day, but for whatever reason, they didn't get to it today. So we're going to move it there. So now you can see, again, they shifted just like the vacation shifts, but it only happened for this course. Again, you can go back. And the last rescheduling bit here is that you can move it to any day. So it doesn't have to move to the course schedule. Just as long as you keep it in the course schedule, Syllabird knows how to do these automatic shifts back and forth. But if it's just this one assignment and you want them to say, you know what, you're gonna have to make up for it on Saturday, you're gonna have to do this assignment, you just unclick keep in course structure and you move it to Saturday and it'll go to Saturday. Only thing to keep in mind is here, this one will not be automatically shifted around. It's kind of outside the course structure now, and you've said, I want it to happen on Saturday. This is going to happen on Saturday. But again, you can move it back. All you have to do is come in and reschedule and check the box and put it on a course day. So we can move it back to the 13th, and now it'll be picked up and shift again. So this is a lot, but the main pieces here are vacation shift everything. Then an individual course can either be shifted or doubled up, or an individual assignment can be moved to a day that's not part of the course. Those are the main pieces that build the different types of rescheduling that fit most of the scenarios that you would run into for vacations. If it doesn't, let us know. We're always making improvements to rescheduling, but this covers a lot of the scenarios. For example, if you do want to go backwards and double up, so let's say I want them to do two assignments on Tuesday and Wednesday, I can come in here and I can say move it back to Tuesday and shift. And what's this going to do is going to shift all the assignments after, and it's going to move them all back, and it's going to move them all over into this section. So you can see now there's doubled and there's singles here that were from next week that are now over here. Any other questions on rescheduling? Feel free to type them in there, but I will keep going. So if you don't want your student to have a account, they're either younger or you just don't want them using a computer, or you like printouts, we also offer the ability to just generate export of your calendar. So at any time you can come up here and you can pick a bunch of options. There's colors and landscape and QR codes and all types of options. I'm not going to go through all of them, but you can just select any days, and what you'll get is a printout that looks like this for descriptions. If you want your descriptions in there, it'll print out basically the type of content that you would get for if you bought a curriculum, or it would give you, let me see, one of these is, I'll just print a new one. Without the descriptions, I was changing something about printing. I was worried that this would happen. It'll load in a second, but it'll be a view that looks similar to this column-based view like this. So it'll be a two-pager for the whole week where you can go through and you can check off, or if you include in the completed here. So you could give this to a younger student, they could put it on a clipboard, they could go through and check their assignments off. Or again, if you like a piece of paper preferred over using a digital tool, you can print this off. And the nice thing is that you can come in and you can do this whenever you want. So if you do those reschedules, you just print a new printout and you have that piece of paper ready to go. So, great question. We can talk a little bit about how the living heritage stuff works. So, the biggest issue with any digital planner is going to be how do you get your content in there? And if you have to type it up yourself, it is a lot of work, and there's not really a great way around that. However, the intention with Syllabird and Living Heritage together is that you will have access to this portal page. So if you go and make a Syllabird account right now, which you can go and you can make a free account and play around with it for 14 days. And, if you choose to use it with Living Heritage later, you can continue using the same account. You won't see this portal page. This portal page is part of the idea of how do we connect Living Heritage with your curriculum. So what you would see here is if you went to the portal page, you would see a list of all of the Living Heritage courses that you have access to. And all you would need to do is add the course to your account. And this is going to import all of the content related to that course. You won't have to put in any of the descriptions or titles or anything like that. It would just all be pre-planned. And it would show up over here in your courses tab. So that will save you a ton of time, and it will honestly take half an hour to set up your whole school year, just because this is the main time sink is building out these courses. Again, you'll have access to building your own courses if you need to extend that, and I can show what that looks like and all of that, but you won't need to do that for the Living Heritage courses. All you need to do is import the course and then enroll them. So we didn't talk about enrolling, but I'll go through that process now. That's basically the process of where you take a course and you say the student's going to do this course and it goes on the calendar. Because this course here that doesn't have any students, it wasn't planned for any specific days. This course is just a 5-day-a-week course for 36 weeks. Again, very similar to how you would buy a curriculum, and it would tell you, here's the structure of the course. It doesn't start on a particular date. That's up to you. You're free to make that choice. It doesn't happen on particular days. That's up to you. As a matter of fact, when you import a Living Heritage course, you're free to edit all of this. If you want it to go for more weeks, less days a week, you can change that. Would we still need to schedule out the days of the assignments and our vacations? So I think I understand what you're asking. So you won't need to do that up front. You can do that as you go. So what that means is, let's say I want Demo Dan to do this demo organization course. I'm going to go over here to Demo Dan and I'm going to enroll him in this course. I'm going to say we're going to start this week, and it's going to happen Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. When I do this piece here, what Syllabird is going to do is it's going to take that course plan and it's going to make a version of it for Demo Dan, and it's going to put it on the calendar laid out based on this start date. So it's going to run from the week of June from the 2nd to the 8th for 36 weeks 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, and it's going to put all of those assignments out on the calendar. So if I go back to the calendar, you'll see these lessons were all scheduled for Demo Dan. These copies of these lessons are specific to him, so you can reuse the course for multiple students and enroll them. And now they're not tied to dates, again, hard. They can be rescheduled with the vacations and shifted, and you don't have to mess with the demo or like the course that you imported from Living Heritage. They just gave you the structure. You're now free to add the vacations out in the future, and Syllabird will just lay out the course around those vacations. So if you, for example, at the beginning of your year went in here and made Thanksgiving and Christmas and all the vacations you knew about, when you do the enrollment process, Syllabird will take all those into account and just move them around the vacations and continue to lay that out. So you don't have to think about every vacation for every course before you do it. You could do the vacations before, you could do the vacations after. Either direction would work.
So if
So
I'm understanding correctly, what we give you is going to be preloaded. So if a course meets once a week, like you read a book once a week, that's already going to be in there. Maybe it'll be in there for day one or something like that every week. But people are free to go in there and adjust that. If they don't want to do that on Monday, then they could switch it and do it on Tuesday or whatever. Is that
correct.
right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yep. So if this was a 1 day course, you could give your suggested day, right? The Living Heritage could have the suggested day that this course happens on, as checked here for parents to know what you suggest. But they don't have to choose that when they enroll it. They can choose whatever day they want. It's just a 1 day a week course. Um, as a matter of fact, if you have two students both taking the same course, they don't have to do it on the same day. So if one student can do it on Monday and the other one can do it on Tuesday, that's also fine. They'll have their own schedules for that course. Okay, I saw another question. For specific assignments within a course, are we able to edit it in case we want to make a change? Yes, you can edit it. So for a reminder, this is a course that the organization provided that I imported. So I went to the portal and I added it to my course list. I now have a copy of this course. This is my copy from my account, and I can do whatever I want with it. I can change the weeks, the days,
Okay,
everything.
for dinner.
And if I go into plan assignments, I now have control over all the content here. So I can make any changes to these assignments and it won't impact anyone else's because this is my copy. And if I mess it up and I want to re-import a clean copy, you can do that again. You just go back to the portal, import the course, and you have a clean copy of it. But this is your version of it. Yes, if you have a link in the description, the student will see it as a link and they can click on it. You can add a link to text with this little button here, or you can just type out, google.com and it'll be converted into a link when you save this assignment. And that works both in the description that the student sees and the teacher's notes that you see. Uh, so I kind of jumped right into the planning page. So let me take a step back and walk through what this looks like. So I'm going to make a new course. And again, this is something that you can do. A common course that a lot of people actually do is a chore course. So they'll have a chore course so that the chores show up on their homepage and their calendar. But this happens all week, 7 days a week. And if we go in here and we have just made a new course. So this course is an empty course. It's not tied to a student. It has no content in it. This was just the, wrapper that describes what the course is. Now, if we go to plan assignments, you'll see you have all of these days over here where you can plan assignments. We don't have any assignments in here, but you can plan assignments. There's a few different ways to make assignments. You can go in and you can just click one at a time and you can make a, uh, clean your room. You can just make an assignment at any time. The only thing you need to add here is the name. You can see it's required. Everything else is just extra if you want it, but I'll walk through all the fields. These are the week and day in the course structure that it happens on. This is the type. Types are used for making it clear on the calendar, when a student has a test or a quiz. They also let you do grading, which I'll talk about shortly, and use weighted grading so that tests are worth more than papers or vice versa. If you want an assignment to be graded, you check this box, and this will give you the option to add a grade to it in the views that we saw on the homepage and the calendar page. This is the name, the title. The due in is the concept that I talked about where you may assign a paper, but they have 6 days to do it or 7 days to do a paper. You just put 7 days here if they have a week to do that paper, and it'll give them the start and end and constant reminders to do the paper. The description is that rich text editor box. You can put links and bullet points and bolds and all kinds of stuff in here. Attachments is where you would attach the files if they needed a worksheet to do their work. They would see a link here. They could click it and view the file that you've uploaded. And then again, teacher's notes is just an option for you to add stuff that only you can see that the student should not see. So if we make this assignment, it's just one single assignment. Some courses require this. There's no like rhyme or reason to the way the assignments are created if you are making them yourselves, but lots of courses do have patterns and chores do have patterns as well. So if we delete this, we can look at the much preferred way to make assignments, which is this repeating assignments tool here. Now I'm going to show you, and it's going to look a little bit weird, but I'll point out one, that there is this link here. This link, if you go to it, is a help doc. It has lots of explanation on patterns if you forget it. But let's say they need to clean their room every other day for the whole year, right? So I'm going to go through and I'm going to select every other day here, and I'm going to say it starts on week 1 and it goes all the way to week 52, every day, every week. This isn't relevant for the chore course, but clean your room. And what this is going to do is it's going to make assignments on every other day for the whole course titled Clean Your Room. So this is a much, much faster way to make these types of assignments that are repeating and happen over and over again. That's why the chore course is really popular. People just go in and make a quick course with all these repeating things for them to do over and over again. However, there are more powerful repeating assignments. So let's say they have 2 weeks to read a book. Now, usually, if you were planning this out yourself, or I received assignments like this, it would just say read the book, read the book. Every day I would just have an assignment that said read the book, which is great. Once I learn to manage my own time later on, I can know that, oh, I'm making good progress through the book. I'm on the pages that I should be. I'll finish in time. But it can always be, it would have been more helpful, especially when I was learning that, to say read pages blank through blank so that I could kind of know how far along in the book that I should be. So one of the patterns we have is reading. So read your book. And this is a pattern. So we have little curly brackets here. And I'm just going to say the book is 600 pages long. So I have to read 600 pages in 2 weeks. So what's going to happen here, Syllabird is going to take this range of numbers and break it up over these 2 weeks and automatically break these chunks out for you. So if you want to make assignments like this, you'll see this now just tells the student roughly where they should be in the book on every day and helps them build that understanding of time management for reading. It can be very helpful to say like, hey, did you make it to page 300? Are you on track? Without really needing to do that yourself. There's also patterns for just, I'm regretting 7 days, but it's fine. There are patterns for numbers, increasing numbers. So lesson 1, this will just say lesson 1, and it'll just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which this one isn't super useful, but it's the basis of the patterns. And if we look at the pattern help here, you'll see there's definitely more useful patterns in here. For example, spelling. So I often had a spelling or a vocabulary course. Spelling and vocabulary were pretty much every day. It was like chapter 1, read, chapter 2, do a crossword, chapter 3, fill in the blanks, chapter 1, read, fill in the blanks, study, quiz. And that was just every single week forever. A pattern like this will just make the spelling course right away. It'll go chapter 1, study quiz, chapter 2, study quiz, chapter 3, study quiz, and it'll go down through that range. You could do that for stuff like math or reading books. It makes making certain courses much, much faster, especially the courses that you're likely to be adding or things like chores. Yes, it is. It is based on a programming background, as you can imagine. The curly brackets take a little bit to get used to, but once you're used to it, they're very powerful for making lots and lots of patterns. Um, so again, I recommend making a big chore course, playing around with repeating patterns. So, day 6 is take out the trash. Day, 4 is clean the bathroom or whatever the chores may be. You can then, you know enroll the student in this and they'll have those types of assignments on their calendar. There are a few other you can bulk edit assignments and things like that, but that's the basis of what it takes to create assignments. Again, often a lot of effort, which is why having the living heritage stuff be there for you already is a humongous time save, but you still have the ability to augment your plans with whatever you need.
Right. So just to clarify, the people who own a certain cycle, that will all be baked in here already, and all of these patterns and everything that's in the premium daily plans for the curriculum will be preloaded in, and you can just import the courses into your schedule.
Yep. In here is their account login. You just give them an email and a password, and then they're able to go to the page that you log in with and use the email and password, and they would gain access to a more condensed view of Syllabird. For example, they don't have like all this planning and stuff associated with it. They just see their homepage, calendar, grade books associated with their student, but they're able to mark things as completed. They're able to add submissions and go through their work and check it off. Then you would see that stuff reflected in your account.
But they can't make changes. Someone asked me that.
No,
Yeah.
No, they can't make changes to the courses. They can add comments again if you want to augment what you're doing, or they said, "Oh, I watched this extra video," or you ask them to go find some article on something and do some research. They can do that and add it through comments, but the main structure is set, and they aren't able to change it.
Just for Living Heritage, the comment section and also the section where it has submissions, that's a great place for students to type in narrations so that you would have that as a parent. And also, they could upload a PDF of a narration or a photo of a narration. I think they could even upload an audio, is that correct? Of a
Yeah.
narration if they recorded themselves. So that's a great place to keep track of narrations, and then you would have those right away
hmm
for your records.
Yep. And they can use it if they have a laptop or a tablet. There's no dedicated app in the App Store, but we have some instructions for making a tappable icon, but the site is designed to work across all of those devices. So whatever they have available, they can use. So other things to keep in mind when looking here, one thing I will point out is always click these triple dots. They're extra menus. They have lots of tiny hidden things. For example, on this one, we have edit course order. And what this does is it lets you pick the order of the courses on the calendar. So Syllabird doesn't have a strong time component, so we don't schedule things at a certain time, like 10 a.m. you do this course, um, because often that's a lot of overhead for parents. But usually you probably want them to do it in a certain order. For example, if they really hate math, you might make them do math first so it doesn't get left for the end of the day. You can go in here and you can sort it, and then this will show up on the calendar, the homepage, their printouts, your printouts in the order that it is set. But it's a little bit harder to find because it's in one of these triple dots. There, you can also change a schedule. So once you enroll a student, if you say, actually, this Thursday, Tuesday, Thursday is not working, we need to do Wednesday. Um, Friday, you can come in here, you can edit the schedule at any time and adjust that, and it'll reshift the assignments to those new days for the rest of the year, all the uncompleted assignments that you've done. So you can come in here and adjust that at any time. If you need to, you're not locked in. You can export a course. This will give you a zip file. It'll include all of the content, all the comments, all the assignments, all of the files that you've uploaded, all the attachments, everything there. It will be available for you. And what's important to keep in mind is at the end of the year, you'll usually come in here and complete a course. What this means is it kind of locks the course And if you need to reuse a course for another student, so maybe you had Algebra 1 year and a student completed it, and the next year you want a student to do it slightly differently, if you go in and edit the course, it won't impact your record. So it's important to complete assignment. It'll make a locked record of the completed work there, and then you can download it at any time, and it'll reflect the course that that student did and the content that they did, regardless of edits that you make later. Um, the last thing to look at is gradebook. So we can come in here and view grades. Grades are calculated in a variety of ways that I'll actually look at the course page in a second to show you. But basically, as you put in grades, we'll create a running total of the grade. So it's based on the assignments that have grades already. It'll also show you a nice little progress bar for how far into the course you are and where you need to go. It gives you options for export as well here. But also these things filter into the transcript tool. So there is a tool for generating a transcript. I'm not going to fill out this because it's a little bit of an extra form, but if you'd like to see what the transcript looks like, I can definitely send that along if you guys let me know who would like to see that, or I can just send one over. But it's a standard one-page transcript where you would see, your 4 boxes, your courses, your content, your GPA will be calculated based on grades and credits, and it'll give you places to sign and all the things that a school would expect to see from a transcript. You can make a transcript for any years. It doesn't have to be high school. So if you need to use it as a report card or other things like that, this is available. But the nice thing is this will feed completed courses in automatically. So all the Syllabird stuff will be pre-filled into the transcript when you um, do it. But you can also add external courses. So again, it's largely a full-featured transcript builder, but it just benefits from all the Syllabird courses you've kept over time. The last thing that I did mention was talking a little bit about grading. So grading can be as simple or complicated as you want. You can go from no grading to point grading. So no grading, there's no cumulative grade calculated for this course. Percent grading is what you would commonly see where every assignment is weighted the same in a category. So what this means is you can come in here and use weights for different types. So this course has 35% of the final grade is from homework, 20 from course, 25 from test, 15 from paper, 5 from other, and none of the grade is associated with lab. You can also uncheck this and then every single assignment is equal. So this is the very simplest version of adding grades to an assignment. Every assignment's equal, you don't really care. As they go higher into later grades, you may need more complicated. So this gives you the option to weight the grades. And then finally, if you pick point grades, this gives you the ability to weight assignments. And what I mean by that is, let's say papers are worth 15% of the total grade, but you need the midterm paper to be worth more of that grade than the other papers. Point grading gives you the ability to do that, where you can say the midterm is worth 1,000 points, the other papers are all worth 200 points, and then go through that process. We have a help doc that talks about grading and how we calculate it. Again, if you forget all that, but summary is there's lots of variety for how involved you want grading to be, from very simple to the full feature that you would need. And these go into the grade books calculation and eventually into the GPA based on the credits and grading scores. Oh, I missed a question. So is this also being used to submit assignments? Is it unlimited storage for our records? And how much will this store for us from previous years? So um, I'm not sure I understand what it's also being used to submit assignments. Um, Students complete work here and they can submit work through Syllabird for you to review and attach to an assignment. Um, if that's what you mean by submitting assignments. As far as storage, there is an amount associated with it that depends a little bit on um, what we come to an agreement with Living Heritage, but it will store all your. There's no limit to the students or courses or things like that. The storage is associated with file uploads. So usually we say that we haven't had anybody run into issues with high schoolers, and high schoolers usually have a lot more files associated with that. So I would say it shouldn't be something that you worry too much about. It is a limit, but it's more a limit to just make sure you don't abuse it rather than that you run out of room. But you can have your record stay around as long as you are using Syllabird. All the courses for the previous years for a student will remain. So ideally, you use Syllabird through the whole school year and you have every grade associated with the student and all of their work remains organized like that. And we designed the storage to fit that situation. Can digital books be uploaded to courses? If they are PDFs, if they are um, Word documents, they can be attached to a course, if that's what you mean. If you need a different format, let us know. We've added a variety of formats throughout the years just based on needs, but those are the ones that are available. Um, as we add vacation dates, will the new completion date of the course be shown? The gradebook shows an end date. This end date will change based on vacations and shifting and stuff like that. I believe it's also shown. No, it's not shown on this smaller card, but it is shown in the grade books.
One thing I've done this year is I created I made myself a student, and then I enrolled myself in all the courses that I needed to read aloud to my younger kids so that I had my own little checklist of this is the stuff I actually need to accomplish. I can look at my student accounts and see what they're accomplishing that they need to get done, but that just kind of helped me hold me accountable. I made myself a student and gave myself check boxes.
Yep, lots of parents make themselves their own account.
So can you talk about, I think one thing that people are gonna want to use this for with Living Heritage is say they are, so they'll get, so if you have, let's say, cycle 3, and then you'll be able to view in the portal all of the different courses that are part of cycle 3. So cycle 3's Bible course and cycle 3's history and so forth and so on. Um, Say they've already read a book that is included in a course, what's the best way for them to be able to sub out a book? Because that's not something that's currently super easy to do with our premium because of the way that it's laid out, that this will be a huge advantage for people to be able to sub out books they've already done or books that might not be a great fit for their child.
So to answer the question best, I would probably need to look at the course as it's important and what that actually looks like. So I'll talk through how I would think of doing it, and then you can let me know if that kind of makes sense. So if I walk through the process, I want to do demo organization course. I import demo organization course into my courses. And then I go into the assignments and I see that on week 7, we're going to read a certain book. So I would go through and delete the week 7 assignments that I don't want to do. So we don't want to do this reading and work through this book, and it may be more than that. You can also do this from the Alt tab and filter it down. So this is not the best way to do it, but I'm going to delete all these assignments. You could just, if there was a book, you would just type the book name. So book name right here, and then you would be able to select all the assignments and delete them and say, I don't want to do them. Then you will see on the left side here, you'll see all the empty boxes where there's new space for work to do. And then you would just go in here and you would make the new assignment. Again, you can do a repeat. If it's like a literal reading book, you would do the repeating like we talked about, or there's other scenarios. So let's say I wanted to do a repeating assignment and refill this week 7. I would just say every day, but it would just be week 7, right? Just as one week, and then I could say read the new book, page 1 through 200. I'm sure when you mean book, you don't necessarily mean reading, but it may be a lesson book or a worksheet or something else. But I could come in here and I could just say make the new book, and then now we have a new book in this section right here. So the way I would do it, I was import it, and then I would go in here and I would look up the book that we don't want to do. I would go through and delete the assignments associated with that, check what week that was on over here. So just find where it was at in the schedule and then remake the new assignments for that content there. Um, you can do this after you enroll a student. So editing assignments and enrolling them. If you make new ones, it'll go on the calendar where it's supposed to be. If you edit them, it'll go on the calendar. So again, you don't have to do all this work up front. It can happen when you need to do it. So if you're working partway through and you get through and you're like, actually, we don't want to do the book for week 7 and you're on week 7, you can just delete it, remake it, and the student will see the new assignments right away. Is that kind of what you were talking about?
Yes, that's perfect. Yeah, I mean, our books will probably be like, maybe it would be a book that appears every week on day 1. So then they
Hmm.
would just, you know,
You would
select
just,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
look for the book, delete them all, and then you could make a repeating assignment on day 1 and remake them, or just go through and make the new assignments one at a time. Again, this is doesn't take as long as you would think when editing a course versus making the whole one, but I would definitely take advantage of the search box. So if I search for something and then I select all, it'll just select these ones that are visible here, and then I could just delete them or edit them um, and go from there.
Yeah, and then the beauty of that is with Syllabird, it will already break up the pages for you. It won't do like what I did is I've gone through and found like intelligent stopping points, right? But at least this way you're having an equal division of pages and you don't have to actually go through and read the book yourself to find the stopping points. You can just assign your student the book like this.
One other way to think about it as well is you don't have to do pages if you want more intelligent stopping points. You could also do chapters. So the same concept works here. If I go in here and I say um, they have 1 week to read this book, and uh, there are 20 chapters. This same concept will work here. We'll say read chapter 1, 2, 3 on day 1 and chapter 3, 4, 5 on day 2. It's not exclusive to page numbers. It just breaks up a range of numbers. So you can make that whatever you want. Chapters, assignments, sections, whatever makes sense for the book associated with it.
I think I can answer Debbie's question.
It's the same.
Oh, it's the same. Okay, wait a minute.
They're both the same kind of question. Yeah.
Well, I've read Debbie's. You probably wouldn't want to just change the title because you're gonna have different page numbers or different chapter numbers. So at least you're gonna want to go in and change the range of pages or the range of chapters so that you're not reading. Pilgrim's Progress is a lot longer than Charlotte's Web, so it will, that would be you would need to change more than just the title, I think.
If there is just a title and no reading in it, you can edit just like you can just not remake the assignments. I would say that most of the time you're going to want to go delete these assignments, remake them with the new content. However, if there's a scenario that makes more sense to just edit the title, you can do that like this. So we made a new set of assignments called Read the Iliad. No page numbers because this wasn't going to work like you mentioned with page numbers. But you could come in here and find the Iliad assignments, select them, and bulk edit them and just say the new one is read a different book. And this will just update these assignments to now they're called read a different book. So some assignments, if they don't have like a page range or other content that you want to save or remake, you can do it like this, where you can just replace the name or just the title, and it'll remake or it'll just adjust the assignments. But I'm guessing a lot of times it's going to be more useful to you to do this flow that I just showed. But they're both available.
So the bulk, you could do that with like the independent reads that don't have a page assignment. It just says, keep progressing on this at your own pace. Then you could just do that bulk edit.
While we're waiting, if there are any other questions, I can also show, I keep forgetting to clean this. You can make your own custom assignment types in here as well. Those aren't limited. You won't see double, but you can come in here and you can make a new one. There's already a test one.
Narration
Re
or reading, yeah, that
yeah,
would.
reading. You can pick the color and you can make it. And now this is an option for you to go in and select in the course. If you want the label to show up on the calendar, for example, quiz shows up on the calendar, you'll notice none of these have a label on it because these are all homeworks and the homeworks are hidden. So that makes it so it's not overwhelming and it's easier to see the more important ones. So whatever your normal one, whether you call it homework or lesson or whatever, it's up to you. You probably want to make it hidden so that it's clear on the calendar when they have one of the more important ones like quiz or reading or narration.
Could you talk about, someone was asking, what if it'll take us a little while to get Living Heritage into Syllabird and all of that. Someone said, what if I go ahead and purchase Syllabird and put in whatever I already know I want to do, like a separate math, for instance? Then how would they, how would they integrate? We explain how they would integrate that. Then later, if they purchase Syllabird through Living Heritage, would like as far as like paying and all of that kind of situation.
Yeah, so if you wanted to go today and use it, you can make an account. You'll get the 14-day free trial. If you go through that and you want to keep using Syllabird and start getting it set up like you mentioned, you can just buy a normal subscription. It actually doesn't matter what you buy because what will happen is once you purchase it through Living Heritage, the process is Living Heritage will provide you with a link or a code. Um, that will let you join the organization. So you'll go through a process to join the Living Heritage organization. It'll give you access to the portal and your courses and things like that. And when you do that, your subscription will shift from a normal Syllabird to a subscription via Living Heritage. And then what Syllabird will do is it'll refund you prorated what you haven't used of your subscription. So you'll get a refund of the difference, and it'll basically be like canceling the subscription with a refund and then resuming immediately with a new one.
The Syllabird cycles, assuming that we can go forward with this, the Syllabird premium cycles will be available on Syllabird. So that's what we'd be putting in. Because these are daily assignments, we can't somehow put the basic weekly plans in here, but because this is a daily planner, it would be the premium cycles in Syllabird preloaded. And Tatum's question, is this still worth it for group one? I use it for group one. My group one kids get a printout of their assignments, and that really helps them to stay on track. I have a 7-year-old, but she started using it a year ago. So when they were 6 and 8, they started using the Syllabird printouts, and they, just like Andrew said, they put it on a clipboard, and then they were like, okay, let's do, this. And they had, they're going to get out their copy work or whatever. So that kept them on track. And then, like I said, I created myself a parent course for all of my read alouds so that I could stay on track. And then I would know, if I had something that I had to do with older kids as well, I'd put that on my parent course that I needed to, work with them on math or, whatever it was. But yeah, if you just have kids in group one, I still think that it's super helpful because of the way that it allows you to be flexible. It allows you to, switch out books really easily. It allows you to shift, if you have a sick day, or maybe you got sick halfway through the day, or maybe, you had to go somewhere halfway through the day, and you can just shift those assignments to the next day. So it just allows everything you're already getting with Living Heritage, but it makes it so really flexible to your life. Right, they aren't currently up yet.
Yeah, so to answer Danielle's question, once we get all this set up, then you would purchase a Syllabird subscription through us for whatever cycle you own, and then you would get access, and it'd be in your portal, and you'd be able to import everything that you want.
I think the number of students is unlimited. Is that right, Andrew?
Yes, that is correct. Yep.
Okay, maybe Andrew would be a better one to, I mean, Leanne, I did this and it took me a very long time. I mean, there are the patterns and so forth, but even so, it took me honestly probably a couple weeks to put everything in. I mean, I wasn't working all day, 24/7, but um it did take me a long time. But I don't know, what would you say to that, Andrew?
Yeah, I would agree it is a large time investment. From us as a business, it is the hardest thing to overcome is the time investment a user needs to start that process. There's lots of ways to make it feel better. For example, you don't have to put in everything up front. You can enroll a student in an empty course and add the assignments as you go. But there's no really getting around it. And to be honest, what I would see is that people generally end up with a less good version. So Living Heritage will go through the effort to put in the high quality version with all the descriptions, all the links are there, any attachments, etc. Whatever you need to do your assignment will be in the assignment. It is very unlikely that you will do the same thing.
Yeah.
Like you maybe will do it for a couple courses, then you'll realize, okay, this is a lot of effort. I'm probably just going to do the title and then maybe like a couple of comments in the description, and then you'll need to have Syllabird and the external copy, and you'll need to go back and forth. And that's usually the situation people end up in, just because it is a lot of effort to get a high quality version of the curriculum in. So yes, I would say that it's probably safe to still estimate a couple of weeks, depending on how much you're sitting down and doing it. For one student, I don't know how many courses it is, but it might, if you worked on it for many hours in a day, it's probably a day a course, depending on a variety of situations, like how fast you type. But it is, I would just say it is a lot of effort. I would recommend you try the free trial and play with it and see how it feels. And then remember how easy it was for me to click this button.
Yeah. And I will also say, like I mentioned a couple minutes ago, I've taken the time to go through and break up books to a logical stopping point. So that's not necessarily going to be an even number of pages. So even when I was putting things in myself, I couldn't necessarily always utilize the patterns. I could if it was chapters, but if it was page numbers, because I've stopped at, a section break or, just a logical thought break, that's not always going to be a necessarily, just 10 pages, 10 pages, 10 pages. It might be 8, 9, 7, 8, different. So that will take you more time than if you already had the course that you could just click in. The time frame will, now that premium is done, we can send it over to Andrew and he can work his magic, whatever, to get Living Heritage in there. So,
But part of the process was making sure there's enough interest,
yeah,
because the work involved to actually get these imported, we need to know we have enough interest. So that's why we're doing this, and let us know if you're interested so that we can see that we have enough people who want to do this.
yeah. So we said 120, which is $10 a month. In addition, build yearly, build annually, and in addition to um, the cost of premium. Yeah, it is. It's really worth the benefit. I mean, I had vacations that we added halfway through the year, that we were like, oh, we need to go to this conference. And so I had to add those dates. And then some vacations got canceled because we got sick or whatever. And then I just deleted those. So it shifted everything for my kids. And my daughter, especially my 16-year-old, who has, you know, the older kids have opinions on how their school year is organized. And she said, Mom, this was absolutely my best year ever because I had it all right in front of me. It was easier on me because I didn't have to go in every week and, figure out, okay, let's print off your thing or let's, make sure that you have your week's assignments and sit down on a Saturday or whatever and plan all that out for the next week. She just had it. She could open up her computer and she had her assignments, and then if she wanted to get ahead, she could, and she could mark that as complete. So she just knew exactly what she's going to do, and it made it very smooth.
Yeah, it gives a lot of agency to the older students. to work ahead or build their time around it. It helps them build. We've heard it a lot that it helps build the time management skills a lot better than a paper planner, just due to the fact that it's much clearer what needs to be done when. Um, my planners always ended very scribbled.
Mhm.
And things were lost just because one scribbled line was drawn over an assignment that was supposed to be, right? And then you realize you don't realize you need to do it still, and becomes lost to time until you realize you need to do it later.
Any other burning questions? I think this is really helpful. I think probably some people just didn't even understand what Syllabird was. So just having this was really helpful for people to be able to see this, all the options of the things that they're going to be able to do with this. So I'm excited.
Yep. And we have support links, Syllabird support links. So please feel free to email any other questions anybody has. We're very responsive there, as well as any feedback. We take that very seriously. And there's help docs you can find from the website, YouTube videos that might give you another overview. And obviously, you recorded this meeting, so you can watch it again. But variety of resources to take a look at.
Great.
Yep. Thank you so much.
Yep. Thanks so much, Andrew. Appreciate
Yeah.
your time.
Thanks for having me.
And thanks everyone. Let us know in the comments on Mighty Networks if you're interested. Several of you did here as well. And our goal is to get rolling on this soon.
Yeah,
So,
we'll get it going soon so that we can make sure that you have it for your school year. So
Right. Thank you.
all right. Thank you.
thank you.